I am swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, 'cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, la, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Fuck.
All right, put down your pens, put down your pencils, step away from the keyboards and settle in for this week's episode of The Writer's Block, a Muddied Waters media production. First and foremost, allow me to thank Don and Sally Wright for giving birth to me, because without them, none of this would be possible. And allow me to thank Grassroots Kava House for the kava that I drink on this and every episode of The Writer's Block. Woo. Sorry that we weren't here on Tuesday. Stuff came up, so we weren't able to do it. But thank you to everybody that tuned in for Mr. America, the Bearded Truth on Monday. And don't forget to tune in to Mr. America, the Bearded Truth tomorrow. And remember that you can follow us online at muddiedwatersoffreedom.com or at facebook.com/muddiedwatersoffreedom, at Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom, on Twitter at muddied_waters, or on YouTube at youtube.com/muddiedwatersmedia. I am very happy to introduce my next guest. She and I have been attempting to do this for quite some time, and schedules just haven't worked out, and we've been there like the day of. It's been like, I have to cancel. So I'm very happy to finally get her on. The co-founder of the Moon Sisters, the host and writer at Hustling, Parenting, and Balancing podcast and blog, my best friend in the entire world, Mrs. Sarah Anderegg. Sarah.
Yay!
Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. How are you today?
I'm good. Running around like crazy, doing parenting things as per usual.
I was going to say, as you do. As you do. It seems like anytime I text you, unless it's like 4 a.m. here and 10 where you are because you're in Hawaii. Like if it's 4 a.m. here and I'm texting you, that's the only time that you're like, oh, I'm just sitting here reading or watching TV. Any other time, it's, I got to run, I got to go do the stuff that responsible adults do. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means.
Adulting. It's hard.
It is. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I
think that's why they made a wine.
They made a wine?
Wine. That's why they made wine.
Oh, I thought you meant like adulting made a, like there was a wine called adulting. And I was like, man, I've been out of the drinking game way too long. But yeah, I think that that's actually pretty accurate because that's how I felt about beer. Because beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
not a beer fan. I'm not a huge beer fan.
Well, I agree with Benjamin Franklin on this. Because he said that, I think. I'm not even going to step all the way out and say that was him and that was the direct quote, but I'm going with it.
All right.
Yeah. So, I am really happy to have you on. Legitimately, I'm so happy.
Me too. And we've tried so many times. And then I had my wisdom teeth out. You had your surgery.
Yep.
And any other time, like you were sick once, and then I was sick once.
And you had a parent-teacher conference or something once.
Yeah, piano lessons and all the parenting things.
All sorts of things going on in the life of Sarah that and me that kept us from officially being able to do this. So normally I have like this whole routine planned out, and I have to kind of change it because I'm not allowed to ask you certain questions. So I have to be very careful on which questions I ask you. Now, let's talk about the Moon Sisters. Okay. What do the Moon Sisters do?
What do they do?
What do they do? What are they about?
Okay, so you know this about me because I feel like you tease me for it more in your head than you actually do in real life. But I'm
Probably.
a massive hippie
Yes,
person.
you are.
So my best friend and I created,
I was going to say, let's be careful.
The Moon Sisters. We created the Moon Sisters together. Fun fact, we actually were born under the same moon, coincidentally also. But it's a blog.
For anybody who is not a hippie, no clue what that means.
Yeah, astrology things. It's all the astrology things.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
Through the Moon Sisters, we created a monthly membership program, and it has all of the hippie resources in it, like guided meditations, affirmation things, a lot of self-care things like journaling, prompts. There's like 13 different categories within the membership. So, yeah.
Excellent. And you are the host of the podcast, Hustling, Parenting, and Balancing, as well as the writer for the blog, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is basically a parenting website and balancing parenting and regular life and work life and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I've always been a very independent person who always wanted to work and do my own thing. And a really common thing that people are told is that you can't do both, so the whole thing is pretty much based on the premise of you can. So. Right.
Which, I think that a lot of people, especially today, because it's so easy to be distracted by just like the regular day-to-day stuff going on. A lot of people actually believe that, okay, if I'm going to be a parent, I can't also have a career. Or if I'm going to have a career, I can't be a parent. Or if I'm going to get married, I can't do other things that I want to do. And none of that's true. Like, you have the ability to do all of these things. It takes work just like anything else in life, but it is definitely possible. How long has Hustling, Parenting, and Balancing been around?
That podcast has been around for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that, can people find that on iTunes or on anything, or is
pretty much anywhere? It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify. Those are the two main ones. So pretty much just iTunes and Spotify.
Yeah, when I got on Spotify, I was real happy that I finally achieved that. Like, that took a lot of work for some reason.
They closed their submissions for podcasts for a while because I guess they were redoing something specifically for podcasts, and then they reopened the submissions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when I got in, was on that second reopening. And at first I was like, I'm not a member of Blueberry or whatever it is. And so I can't get any of my podcasts on here.
I didn't use Blueberry either.
Well, so when they closed it and then reopened it later, during the portion where it was closed, if you were on Blueberry, you could get in.
Oh.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's what, and that was when I was trying to get on it. So that was when I was working on it, and I was like, I'm not on Blueberry, and I'm not starting this whole new account under Blueberry in order to get onto Spotify. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
Patience.
Right. And then I checked like 2 months later and I was, oh, okay.
Surprise.
Submit. And amazingly, it worked. So, and the Moon Sisters, you guys just started.
Yeah, we just started on my birthday, actually, in April.
That's right.
April 5th.
April 5th. Wow. That's 13 days ago. Math. Yeah, so I've been over the Hustling, Parenting, and Balancing blog. I don't understand a lot of it.
That's fine.
Because I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
Nor a hippie. So it's really well written. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you.
You are a fantastic writer.
I really appreciate that. I tried to just write the way that I would speak in a conversation because I think readability is everything. So,
Absolutely. And actually, I'm going to take a couple of steps back here because normally we would just kind of go on. But I want to tell everybody how we met. Social media. So years ago, I wrote a book called Dear Jack, Diary of an Addict. It's available on Amazon.
I think it's behind me, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's cool because I don't have a copy of it. So thank you for the plug.
You don't have a Oh yeah, you don't have a copy. Yep, it's right here. And in fact, you told me happy birthday without even meeting me.
That's right. And so you started following me on Twitter or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
You started following me on Twitter, and then we just kind of started talking a little bit on Twitter, and then Instagram, I think, was next, and then Facebook, and then we eventually just started texting each other. And because some guy gave you a copy of my book and asked me to sign it, you and I have actually become really, really good, closer than he and I ever were. So, I mean...
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, good on him for, cultivating this friendship. If there's one good thing about that guy, it's that he cultivated this friendship. But yeah, no, it's just weird how that worked out. That, some guy that used to crash on my couch every once in a while that I would see play at beach bars. He one time bought a copy of my book, sent it to somebody, and now we've become such great friends.
Yeah.
So you're a parent. You have two, and I'm not just saying this for the sake of
brownie points.
Right. They're very adorable children.
I like to think that they're pretty adorable too.
Yeah, I don't say that often, but your kids are like models.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys did good.
Genetics.
Right. Those great genetics. But yeah, you've got two very adorable kids, and you're gonna talk to us a little bit about education.
Yeah. Yep, especially because my oldest is going to be going to kindergarten this August. So finding schools for him and the whole search for, going over schools' discipline policies, which is something that's a whole other thing in itself. I never even thought to review schools' discipline policies. I always knew to check curriculum, but as of late, that's been something I check before I even check curriculum.
Okay.
So
so he's about to enter kindergarten, and that's David, right?
Yep.
Okay. I always get your husband and your kids' names mixed up, so I'm always like,
I know.
Yeah,
for the longest time, you thought Sean was David, and David was Sean.
Sean, right? So David's about to enter kindergarten.
Yeah.
How different could the disciplinary policies be at schools? Obviously they don't use corporal punishment anymore, right?
No, they don't. But so with kids, it's kind of all about the little things, because as most people know, children are sponges. They take in every little thing around them, what they hear, what they're around, their experiences, and that kind of involuntarily shapes who they are, you know, as a person. They kind of get like, you know, mental programmings of different things based off of their environment. And so little things make a huge difference, especially whenever they're that young. And so what I've been looking into as far as discipline policies go, one of the schools that so to give a little bit of a backstory of what made me really want to look into this, my oldest brother, we were on a phone call the other day, and he was telling me about one of his friends whose son is, I think, like 6 or 7 years old. He got in trouble at school for something silly that all kids do, having to do with like pencils or crayons, you know, something like that. And he was told that, you know, he was a bad kid because he made a bad choice. And something small like that, you know, you get in trouble for something in school, teacher yells at you, whatever.
Right.
But I guess the specific way it was handled, the kid went home and was telling his dad that he was a bad kid, and he had been acting out for a while, and the parents didn't understand why. And then the kid had said, well, my teacher said that I was a bad kid. And so I started to look into different schools' discipline policies. And sometimes if a school has a specific, you know, like whenever we went to elementary school, if you got in trouble, I mean, even when I went to elementary school, principal still had a paddle in his office.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that I am slightly older than you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to school, that was definitely not a thing.
I remember my principal having a paddle. I never got in trouble for it, but I remember going into the office for good reasons because I was a good kid. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, even though I was there for a good reason, I was shaking. I was like, I promise I'm only here because I did good things. I swear, it's fine. But, you know, one of the school policies that I have been trying to look into is the discipline policies, because I don't want the kids to think that if they make bad choices, that they're bad kids.
Right.
Because I think back to all of like the kids in my class when I was younger who would rebel and ended up to be honestly total trash nowadays. I think that a lot of that could have been prevented if they weren't told that they were a bad kid. Something I'm actually working on right now with David, because he's been acting out a little bit as far as like coloring on the walls and stuff.
Right, you were telling me that last night.
Yeah, even good people can make bad choices, but it can be a learning experience. So the school that I told you that I wanted to have David on the wait list for, it's a charter school.
Right.
Their discipline policy is, instead of just throwing them in timeout or, you know, whatever, they do, of course, discipline them and tell them, like, this is not okay. It's not sugar cookies and rainbows and you get away with whatever you want. You know, you're still told this is not okay, this is wrong. But they try to teach the kids how to make a better choice next time.
Okay.
So they don't have that, oh, I'm a bad kid, I'm a bad person.
Okay. And so is this charter school a public charter school or is it private?
It's a public charter school.
Okay. So, no, I promised I wouldn't get into politics, so I can't. Okay. Man, that's going to be...
I know, it's tough for you.
That's going to be real difficult for this episode.
Certain things might be okay. So you can always ask, and if it's a no, I can always say that I can't.
Okay, that's fine.
By the way, for people who are wondering why, my husband is in the military, and I just got to be careful about what I say politically for clear reasons.
Right. Because he could get in trouble for what she says about politics.
Yeah.
So anybody watching or listening, you can make your own assumptions on things, which I won't do until after the episode's over, because I'm not getting you in trouble, or
thank you,
not David, Sean. Yeah. So here's my thing is you're gonna put David into this charter school. You're gonna put David into this charter school. The charter school is gonna be run by. You're getting ready to leave Hawaii and you're going to a different state, and that state is one of the most backward states that I know of. And so you are now allowing the people who are paid by that state to tell your kid how to be a better person.
I can see how you can think that way. Well, I mean, that is what it is, but it's not necessarily so
Right. I mean, that would be my main concern, which
Yeah.
that is where, and yes, I agree that, preschool, kindergarten, even like maybe first, second grade, like all of like actually a lot of it is very important for the developmental aspect of being a child, like
Yeah.
going out and being able to communicate with other people. Very important. But at the same time, allowing the state, allowing the state to teach the kids, and more importantly, on the punishment and developmental aspect, that's where I would be more concerned.
Well, that's exactly why I'm spending so much time getting really crazy, a little bit obsessive, looking into the different policies and talking to. I actually recently had been talking to one of the teachers from the school that he's going to find out from her, are these policies classroom right? Because some schools, the teachers get to set their own policies
Okay.
for the classrooms. So, I've been asking her what it says on the website looks great, but is this implemented in every classroom, or is this going to be he gets a teacher who doesn't even like kids, because that happens. And
I was going to say
so,
that's just a yes.
Yeah.
I just assume no teacher actually likes children.
You'd be surprised, but that's why I've been spending so much time looking into the curriculum to see how they teach, not just the curriculum, but the specific ways of teaching. So there's the typical textbook way of teaching, where you sit in a classroom at a desk for 8 hours a day with kids who could be way above your level or way below your level, and you're just kind of stuck floating.
Right.
Which I'm not a fan of at all. But what I liked about this school specifically is they're a project-based school.
Okay.
So they try not to rely on textbooks or workbooks as much, and they want to teach kids how to be more accountable for their own education, so.
Okay. So instead of I'm trying to think of how to say this because it's been a while since I've been in school and I don't have any kids. I like how you said that. So just, yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been in school too. I just look 12. It's fine.
Right. I just look 25. It's fine. But so instead of just giving you the basic, here's the homework, he's going into kindergarten. So, here's the paper.
You'd be surprised nowadays.
Really?
Yeah, I saw a while ago somebody posted something on Facebook about their elementary school kid already having like basic algebra.
Yeah, that was.
I'm a little bit scared. Math is not my strong suit.
No,
so.
Especially today. Like math today, ever since they changed it.
That's a whole. I feel like that's a whole show in itself.
Probably, but yeah, like ever since they changed it, I've like read new math problems or Common Core math, and I have no idea what is happening.
What frustrates me is that even if kids do it the old way,
right,
and get the right answer, they're still marked incorrectly, and that blows my mind. I think one of the reasons they did that was because they wanted to teach specific problem solving for life, which you don't teach that with algebra. That's not.
No, you teach that through, the way that I've learned basic problem solving throughout life is I just made I think Jacob wants.
Can you ask nicely?
I think Jacob wants a banana. Yeah, the way that I learned was I just continually made mistakes throughout life, and then I was like, okay, well, now I need to figure out how to not make all these mistakes.
Mistakes are important.
They are.
With every mistake, people, you have to make mistakes.
Exactly. With every mistake that I made, I learned what to do and what not to do. And or I didn't, which was more likely the case, is I didn't learn anything and I just continued to do it. But yeah, it wasn't because I learned geometry that I was like, oh, I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
So So are you a huge, like, do you plan on keeping them in public school for the duration, or are you more on the homeschooling, non-schooling?
I am kind of in the middle. I'm in the process of really just trying to figure that out because all that matters to me the most is that they do get the best education possible. And I know that it's not like a one size fits all thing.
Right.
You know, some kids thrive in specific environments and some don't. I am just trying to really navigate how they, as kids, learn the best individually, and then do whatever I can as a parent to, okay, you learn the best one on one with me at home or through experiences. We'll work with that. Or David actually thrives. So far, he's in preschool, but he's already learned so much just in preschool. Like we have a map of the continents downstairs, and it's color coded, and he can tell you which continent is like which color. And he's 4, and it blows my mind. But another thing I liked about this school that I think I told you a long time ago was that they offer an option where the kids can go to school 2 or 3 days a week, and then you can homeschool them the other days, and they'll still be fully accredited. You know, they can even help you with curriculum if you like. So it's kind of like a hybrid program.
Okay.
So that's also an option.
So
I think what
it sounds like it's a good work, like a work between to, like, okay, so I want to figure out if I want to do homeschooling. I don't know if I want to put them in public school, but let's meld the two together. Okay. All right. I can get behind that. Like, obviously, you know my opinions on all things government, and government run. So, and you know that I would not, if ever I was blessed with a child, hopefully it would be a male child. But if ever I were blessed with a child, I don't think I would be able to trust the government-run school system in order to teach them.
It's a very difficult thing. I get really anxious about it all the time because you just never know. You know, when you go to parent-teacher conferences and stuff, things could look so great, but you aren't there in the classroom. You know, you're not necessarily there experiencing it, what your kids experience. And what I will say, because I can say this without it sounding too political, is that I think schools funding wise are way underfunded. I personally don't think teachers get paid what they should. And you know, I recently read, or not recently, but like a couple months ago, I remember reading about this school in Chicago. I want to say it was Chicago or somewhere in that area, where the kids, there was no working like AC or heater system in the class. So there were days that the classroom was like in the 30s because it was cold outside. And there were days that the teachers didn't even show up to class and there weren't enough textbooks